I'm on a mission to help 1 million families take back control of their finances, things like saving more money, paying off debt more efficiently, and just building your personal finance foundation. But I'm just one guy, right? I personally can't help that many families by myself. So I decided to make a tool to be able to help reach a lot more people to help accomplish this goal. So let me pull this up here. To unveil is. So what we're going to do, guys, there is obviously no data in here. I'm going to make this a little bigger for everyone. What we're going to do, we're going to talk about how I think this can help you. We're going to talk about all the features and stuff like that, but more importantly, like how this tool is better than maybe the tool that you're already using. So this navigation screen over here, pretty simple. Okay, we have a dashboard, transactions, budgets, debts, reports, and settings. Can you guys see that? Okay, yes. And I'm going to actually start with the feature that I am most excited about. The thing that if you've seen any one of my YouTube videos or hung out in the community at all, you probably know that my thing is like helping people pay off debt a little more efficiently, right? So I'm going to start in the debt tab because this is the most fun for me. This is the thing that I really want people to focus on first, obviously, because debt is the least efficient thing that we can do with our money. So this is the debt tab, okay? And I'm going to get into all this sort of stuff that's going on up here. I don't want to overwhelm anyone, but let's just start with how do we add debt, okay? So down here is the debt list. Right now there is no debts, and we need to add debt to get started. Now, normally what I like to do when I'm going through some of this is not really share me entering data because that can be super boring. But because this is kind of a tutorial, I'm trying to show you guys the product. And at the end, if you're interested, I'm going to tell you how you can access it yourself for completely free, of course. So anyway, I am going to be entering some data during this sort of presentation. So I do apologize for that, but here we go. So I just have, I'm going to list out a couple things here. So you can list here your creditor type or your name. So like you could do car loan, you could do, I don't know, whatever, the Amex, if it's a credit card, it doesn't matter, whatever is best for you. The current balance is pretty straightforward. So I just have some fake numbers that I'm entering here, the interest rate, the minimum payment. Okay, and I'm just going to stop there for now. I want to add 3. So just give me one moment. It's going to be very helpful when we're going through all of this that I have all of this information in here. And I'm just tabbing through these, which is super simple. Use, not as much clicking or anything like that. So just tabbing through. Okay, we're going to add the debt. There we go. And last one. $1,000, 22%, and we're going to do $500 for the minimum payments. Okay, so now we have 3 debts here. You can see we have a car loan, student loan, a credit card. We have our basic information here. Again, if you've used any of my tools before, you know that the debt payment calculator worked sort of like this. You enter your data, and then the next part is going to be a lot cooler than what was on the debt payment calculator. So you can see here what's been happening up top. So the starting debt amount, it's going to show every time you enter data. Okay, so we're totaling $65,000 in debt. This is just kind of a fake example. I do have ending debt amount, so this could change after we make some payments, which we'll talk about in a second. Minimum payments, so what this does is it adds up your minimum payments column. Okay, so 350 plus 100 plus 500, and then current monthly payments. So again, this adds up the current monthly payment column, and just for ease, I made them the same number as the minimum payment. What we're going to do is look into the payment calculator step next. So we're going to click into here. So this section holds, again, the payment calculator. We're going to play around with this in a second. It has a section for debt payoff strategy, which we'll talk about. And then it talks about like sort of a payment plan. And this changes as we change the data up here, which is very exciting. So the debt payoff strategy is just a little cool. That for people unfamiliar with maybe the 2 main strategies that there are to pay off debt. So the debt snowball method, which it mentions here, basically you're putting your money from smallest loan to largest loan, and that helps build momentum and motivation. And then the avalanche strategy you focus on the highest interest rate debt first, and then you go all the way down to the lowest interest rate. And this is going to save you the most money. And then there's a custom section, which I will show you in a second. So let's assume we're making our minimum payments. This calculator here just helps you play around with numbers. It's like, okay, my minimum payments are $950. What would happen if I added an extra $100, right? The power of $100. You'll see that for A, as I'm entering this data, some of this stuff's changing all kind of around us here. And a new section appeared down here called strategy comparison. And this is one of my favorite parts of this entire tool, okay? So as we play around with these numbers, it shows us the snowball information and the avalanche information. So it's saying how much interest are we going to be paying based on our minimum payments, how much money we'll be paying, applying extra to it, and then which strategy, right? So the debt-free date, April 2037, and the total amount paid is going to be your actual debt plus all the interest. So the same thing with the avalanche strategy. And the really cool part about this is because a lot of people ask me like, hey, which one should I do? I want to show the benefits of both. So if you were to use the avalanche method, it's telling you that the avalanche method would save you almost $14,000 in interest compared to the snowball. And if you chose the snowball, you'd pay off your first debt 25 months faster. Also down here, if you can see it, yes, I just want to make sure my fat head was not in the way. Oops. And it's also showing you where the $100 is applied, the extra $100. So in this case, we have it clicked on the avalanche up here. And so it's applying the highest interest rate to lowest interest rate, which is pretty cool. So it's just showing you like quickly how this is. And then if we were to make it something crazy, just to show you, if we add an extra $1,000, here's what that would look like as well. And how things would change and the new debt-free dates. So this is really just a tool for you to play around with and kind of see like, what would make sense for you for your plan. Now, I did not talk about the custom tab here. And it actually opened up a different strategy comparison. So this is for people that maybe don't want to use the snowball or the avalanche. Let's say, for example, you're like, yeah, it'd be cool to pay off the highest interest rate first, but then this other debt is a big pain in my ass, right? And you're like, I just want to get rid of it. It could be like, I don't know, emotional thing. Like, oh, I've had this for so many years. Let's just get rid of it, right? So you could be like, all right, let's get rid of the highest interest rate first, which is my credit card. But then this student loan is just killing me. I just got to get rid of this, right? And what this does is you can see some of the stuff changing below, which is really cool. So it's basically in real time calculating the best strategy for you. So it's comparing all three of these, and it's saying with the custom, it's going to save you $13,000 in interest compared to the snowball, and it's telling you the avalanche would actually save you about $750 in interest compared to the custom strategy. And you can see here the total breakouts of everything. So like for the snowball, the interest paid would be the total debts, everything would be $124,000. The avalanche is $110, and the custom strategy is $111. So you can just kind of play around with this. This is really just for just testing and seeing like what is possible and what you could do and what kind of timelines you can do things on. Payment schedule. I'm just going to go through this a little quicker. This is kind of a similar thing, just set up in a different way. But what I wanted to do here was just show the actual payment schedule for the entire life of all of the loans. So let's say we are just playing around. Let's add an extra $100. Again, you can see all this stuff changing in real time, right? As I'm typing, this is $1, now $10, $100. All this stuff down here is changing and updating in real time, which is very cool. So this payment section is showing you, okay, the student loan is the priority because right now this is selected debt snowball. So you could do a drop down here, snowball, avalanche, your custom, and then minimum payments. And yeah, it's just showing you like, okay, so the $100 was for the student loan payment that we made, the minimum payment. And then the extra $100 is also being applied to it. So saying, hey, this extra $100 is going here. And what's cool about this is you can scroll all the way down to find where this, gets paid off. So this first one, the student loans gets paid off here. And then you could see that the $200 gets transferred to the next debt. And it just shows you like how the whole process is working and just gives you an idea of like, hey, what payment should I be making and when? And you don't need to necessarily know what payments to make in 5 years, 10 years from now, whatever, but it's just a good way to kind of break it all down and you can look at it by summary like we're looking at, or detailed schedule by debt. And this is basically the same thing except broken down by debt type, and then showing you a little more information. So it's not only showing you, hey, this is the payment that you're making, but also this is the interest that's applied and the principal that's applied. Because I think a lot of times, and I was guilty of this when I was paying debt, when you like make a $200 payment, in your mind, you're like, okay, yeah, I paid $200 towards debt, but really you paid, $167 in this case towards debt. So it was just another way to look at how you're paying your debts. You can scroll down as far as you want here. You can check out this one. So this is a nice feature here. And I do have a lot of people asking about in the debt payment calculator that I currently have for people, if it goes more than 10 line items. The answer was no, but now it's literally infinity. So you can go in this debt list. I tested it up to 25. So you should be good with that. Hopefully you don't have 25 different types of debt, but if you have more and it breaks, please do let me know. And then the debt progress. So this is, again, just a kind of another way to look at everything. And this will light up a little better when we actually make a payment to it, because this is actually going to be a live, like, tracking information of what our starting balance is, what our current balance is, aka like at the end of the month, what our total payments are, our progress, and then again our debt-free dates here, because we haven't actually made a payment yet with these. So that's kind of the debt section. I'm going to be, if you guys want to drop any questions you have during the chat, I know you're probably just watching and you try to consume it all. If you have any questions, I'll be going over some questions at the end for sure. But in order to make this populate, we need to go to another section, the budgets. So actually, before I do that, I wanted to make it very simple in terms of where to enter data, because I've gone on apps before and budgeting, tracking stuff, and you can just kind of add transactions whenever and wherever. Sometimes it seems like. So for debt transactions, the only place you can add new debts is in debts, the debts tab. And we're going to go to budgets right now. Oh, you got to love live. You got to love doing stuff live. There we go. I think because I'm also streaming, it's like struggling right now. Okay. So I'm going to minimize these very quickly to show you. This is the budgets tab. And what I've done here is created some big categories. So income obviously is a big category. Debt is a big category. Saving and investing is another category. And then expenses is a much more large category. And how I want you to look at this is just, I sort of created some stock categories for everyone. Obviously, if you're trying this, I'm going to show you how you can change those. But what you can kind of do to make this easy, I like this little drop down here. That way you can kind of focus on one at a time. You can scroll. You're like, okay, I just want to do the debt thing now. And it just is less clunky than like having all of them open. You can also move them around a little bit. So you're like, I really want to focus on debt, or man, I gotta like my expenses. I gotta whatever. You can shove these around however you want. So I just thought that was kind of cool. So inside, if you were to open this, let's say you're playing around with income and you're like, man, Chris didn't add the thing that I really need in here. You can go to this plus sign in income. It's going to bring you to a new category to income. And you can just say, yeah, test. And we're going to add the category. And now you see test right here. Okay. And you can, plug and play and start adding stuff. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. And then if you decide you don't need something, everything has like a trash can next to it. You can just simply delete it and it's gone. All right. So since we were just talking about the debt recently, I just wanted to show you that you cannot add any data here. So when you go to budgeted, this is pulling from the debts tab. So I don't know if you can read this, but it says to update debt budget amounts, go to the July tab in debts. And let's see, if you wanted to add a debt, you're going to be prompted to go to the debt tab. So there's going to be a button here. It's going to bring you right to the debt tab, and then you can add a debt. So I just thought that'd be, again, easy to just add a thing into one spot. So all the debts are on the debt tab, and then Literally everything else can be added in the budgets tab. So how we add stuff, let's say salary. So what we do is we are going to manually enter like our expected salary. So however you want to do this, you could do it. If you get paid weekly, you could do something like, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, whatever's easiest for you. I'm just going to keep it very simple for this presentation and just say, let's just say $4,000 expected income. Okay. And again, you can see stuff just changing throughout the entire screen here. So this is updating in real time. Now it's thinking we have $4, $40, $400, $4,000. Okay. Everything's changing, which is very cool. And then how to add transactions. So this was very important to me. I spent a lot of time trying to figure this out because I've played around with so many apps and stuff throughout my day that sometimes it can be a little clunky. Again, you can add transactions in a lot of different places, and then you like add a transaction, it goes to another window, and it's just kind of confusing. So I wanted to keep it all in the same like sort of widget here. This like box is what I'm calling a widget. So for salary, you can just do add transaction. And let's say, I don't know, let's say you get paid every 2 weeks. So I'm going to pretend like all this is in July. So on, I don't know, July 15th, you made $2,000. So you enter this in here. You could just do like paycheck 1, excellent, and then add transaction. Now you'll see that this actual was updated here. And some of this stuff was also actually, it was updated as well. And then to be able to view the transaction, again, I think this has been a little clunky in some other places that I've gone to and played around with. So within the widget here, you can actually click on one transaction, and it's going to show you July 15th paycheck 1. So you can either like, oh, oops, I didn't mean to do that. You can delete it. Okay, I'm not going to do that. Or you can edit it. Same thing, and you can just say like, oh, okay, actually it was $2,500, and you can update the transaction and it completely updates, okay? So that's how that kind of works throughout this entire thing. I do want to get some transactions in. So I do want to enter, because there's another step that I need to have a few different transactions in. So it's just going to take a second to have me go through all this. But do you guys have any thoughts or questions? Okay, Angie and Crystal, you guys are feeling it. That's cool. Okay. Add transaction. Just give me a sec, guys. But yeah, let me know if you guys are feeling this or not. Because generally, like when I was making this, it was for people inside the community. So if you guys are in the community right now, like I was thinking about you when I made this. So just to be very clear, all the conversations that I've had and all the feedback and everything that I've gotten from everyone. So this is great. I hope you like it. Sorry, just give me a few more seconds. Oh, and then I can talk about while I'm in expenses. So within expenses, I have a bunch of subcategories. Again, these are just some stock ones that I gave you. Feel free to add one. Okay, test, right? You can add a subcategory and you can move it around a little bit. And then you can add a subcategory within the subcategory here. Okay, so now we have test inside of test, right? But we can also just delete it. And, so obviously people are going to have different categories in this. I was just trying to think as general as possible. So housing, food and drink, transportation, health and wellness, lifestyle, and shopping. Okay, so you could go into these and be like, I hate all of these, and you can change them. I will not be offended at all. That's the whole point of this, is to make this kind of a custom process for you. And I'm just, again, sorry, I'm just trying to enter some stuff here for the next example that I want to show you kind of what's going on and where. So I'm just making up some numbers here as we go along. I need to make sure I get at least 10 transactions. There's a specific reason why. So I'm just going to click around here. None of these numbers make any sense necessarily. I have no idea if this is even going to tie as a budget. Probably not. Definitely not. But that's okay. This is just for an example. All right, that's got to be enough. So while all that's been happening, up here has been updating like crazy. Okay, so this is all updating live. So our total income, if we just open this really quickly, our actual $2,500, and then we have expected here, which is cool. It's like a nice little thing here. Lancey, thank you. Expected on the below here, and then we have total expenses. So this is calculating. I'm deeming an expense as anything that you send out of your bank account. So it could be literally an expense, like your housing, your transportation, whatever, but it's also paying a debt. It's also putting money towards a financial goal, like saving money. So that's what I think about expenses when it says total expenses, just to be very clear. Oh, and look at that. I spent, okay, yeah, I budgeted for $49.50 and I spent $49.50. So let me just add another transaction for income, just to make this not look super weird. Cool. And you saw that some of that changing. So yeah, our total income is $4,000. Total expenses, $4,950. So this is showing a deficit, meaning we are, in negative cash for the month. So it's looking at our actual income versus our actual expenses. Over budgeted. So we over budgeted by $950. And left to spend, I guess I perfectly did that somehow. I don't know how I did that. So that's the budget tab. I hope this interface is pretty straightforward. Again, you can kind of add, plug and play. One thing before I get off this tab. So something that I had a problem with in previous apps and stuff like that was like accidentally entering like the wrong date or something into a transaction. So I wanted to add this feature where you could close the month. So all of these here, you can just click in and it's just going to be the new month, right? April, May, June, July. All of our stuff's in July. So you could be like, yep, I'm good with July, and you can close it. And then what happens is you can't, so you can click on add transaction, but like nothing can happen here. Oh, sorry, I'm on August. I was like, that's not what that looks like. Yeah. In July. So you're going to see here, like, okay, July's closed. You're going to have the little lock button up here. And then you literally can't add a transaction. There's no arrow anymore to add any categories. This flows through to the debt screen as well. And remember, this add debt button was here. It's no longer here. So it just locks it. That way you don't accidentally put something in the wrong month and kind of screw it up. Because I know that I have done that in the past. And then what it does is you can just go to the next month here and do the same thing all over again to update it if you want. And then if you need to go back into July and change something, you could just click unlock, and then you could see it adds everything back. The transactions, you're able to do those again. So it's just a neat little feature. Yeah. The next thing that I want to talk about super quickly is this transactions tab. So in this tab, this is literally, the whole point of this is just to show by date. And I guess I didn't do a great job because I picked today's date or tomorrow's date, whatever, for all these transactions. But what would happen is you would have all your transactions for the month. And this is like a glorified, spreadsheet or whatever, where you can just sort of filter by like lowest to high, or like earliest to latest kind of thing. So you can see what's happening here. The overall type. So I just have income or expense, right? The category. So if you want to just look at groceries and restaurants for some reason, you could just pull up any of those transactions and you see those for the month. You can change the months up here in this little filter up here. You can do it by year to date or any sort of custom range that you want. So I think this could be very useful for like year to date, I would say. Like if you're in like, say, like September, November, December, whatever, and you just want to look at, hey, what are all the groceries for the year? You can kind of like go through and look at it that way. And yeah, I was kind of lazy with some of the descriptions, right? But the description would show up here. I just did a period for most of these. And yeah, and you could filter again by like, you could do a range. So you could do like, I want to see stuff from $15 to $150. Okay. And there's just one item here, and then you can clear it and get back to it. So that's just a quick little way. You can't add any transactions here. Again, I wanted to make it simple where you are only adding your debts in the debt tab, and everything else is in the budget tab. So now we go to the dashboard, which is going to be kind of like your homepage when you log into the app. And I think it's a little slow right now because I am streaming. My internet's been struggling today, so I do apologize for that. But this is the dashboard. Now that we have some information here, it kind of looks a lot better. So same idea with the months up here. So we only have information for July, but like you can toggle through, and this would all change if you had data in here. Okay. And it's just to give you a quick little snapshot of how the month is going. So I wanted to show 3 important things that I think are critical for everyone. So cash deficit or surplus, depending on what you have. So we had a cash deficit of $950. In July, we made $4,000 of income, and we spent $4,950 in expenses. Our budget, so we budgeted for $4,950, and the actual, again, I don't know how I did this, $4,950. So it's showing that we are 100% at our budget, and there's $0 remaining. And then down here, top spending category. So this is a very interactive pie chart. And what it's doing is just looking at the top 10 categories. And that's why I wanted to get to entering top 10 items, just to show you kind of like the different colors and how this would work. So like if we scroll through here, the rent and mortgage was $2,000, about 40% of our monthly spend. Groceries, $800, 16% of monthly spend. Credit card payment, $500, 10%, right? And you can kind of go through and just quickly interact with, hey, what are these line items and everything like that. So it's just the top 10. And of course, we had to have some debt progress in the dashboard as well. So this is a quick way to show, okay, what was the beginning balance? So these were all the stuff that I entered. And so like this car loan payment, for example, let me just kind of highlight this so you can see, see it a little better. Okay, not all of them. That's fine. I believe we made a $350 payment for the car loan. So this calculation is saying that 100 went to the principal, 250 went to interest, and our ending balance is $29,900 because only the $100 would be applied, right? So it just shows you like the starting point and the ending point, and then it just kind of totals up there. Oh, Valencia, that's you. Nice. Thanks for letting me know. I appreciate it. Yeah, everyone's got sneaky names on YouTube, right? And yeah, so the same thing would apply here. You could close the month from the dashboard, and there's nothing that you can add on this tab, but it's just, again, a nice visual to be like, oh yeah, right, July is locked, right? So dashboard, the budgets, and the debt all kind of show that. And just quickly, reports, because there's not too much information, it's not great to look at right now, but this is going to be a lot more useful when you have 2, 3, 10, 30 months of data in here. You can really go back and take a look. So this trends tab is looking at income versus expenses, and it's just going to be like a line graph. I probably should have put in another month here, just like transactions, just to show you. But categories, this is just quickly another way to kind of look at what's been going on with the spending. And again, I think this would be super helpful, like a year to date sort of thing, where you can see like what are the top 5, 10 categories that I'm spending money in over the years, right? And I think that would be helpful. Your budget analysis month over month. So it's looking at your budget versus your actual. And again, that's going to be a nice little line graph for you. And then debt progress, of course, right? We got to have another debt progress. So again, I think this could be very helpful with a longer time horizon, because I think in the debt tab itself would be better for like month over month, but this could be a good way to look at like, years or, 6 months, 12 months, whatever, to sort of pay it all off. So this is just kind of how this looks. And yeah, guys, I think that's the tutorial here. I could have gone a lot deeper. I do appreciate everyone's time. We are 30 minutes in already. So how are we feeling with that? Are we liking that? And while you're loading up any questions you might have, if you don't, that's totally fine too. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing for a second. I appreciate all you guys for being here. Like genuinely, like I made this for the people inside the community. And sorry, I'm clicking around here. There's a tech thing. There we go. My mission here is to just continue to make this better and better. This is literally the worst this is ever going to be, which is so exciting, and the least amount of tools that it's going to have in it. But I also want to make this free, like forever. And that sounds crazy because I think people are so used to spending money on budgeting apps, tracking apps, debt stuff, whatever. But I just think, like, how silly is it that we would have to, in our budget for our budget, like software or whatever. And there are some good ones that have really good free plans, like they're really good. But then at some point they do have there is a paywall, right? So eventually this is going to have all the bells and whistles that all the other top apps have. And whichever one you're thinking in your head right now, yes, there's probably going to be stuff that I'm like, what do people like from this? And I'm going to try to incorporate it in this over a long enough time period. Crystal, I like what I see. Yes, looks easy to use. Okay, guys, cool. So here's what's going to happen. If you're interested in being sort of a test case user, again, this is all going to be completely free, right? You're just testing it out, which is great. Let me share my screen again. There we go. Inside the community, it's going to be super simple. What you have to do, if you just send me a message, just DM me and just tell me that you're interested. You could do it now if you want. You could do it right after the call. It doesn't matter. And then what I'm going to do, there's actually a super secret classroom thing in here that you probably didn't notice. And it's locked right now. It's private. And behind this is the link to Wealthway. So I would just open this up for you and give you some sort of onboarding instructions like, hey, just when you sign in, do this, that kind of thing. And then, yeah, basically just all I'm really asking is that you try to do your August transactions in there. And then what I'm going to do is my offer for you of like helping is, yes, I'm going to have you answer a couple questions. But what I want to do is after the month is over, month of August, I'd like to give you a free coaching call along with the questions that I asked. So we'll start the call. It's going to be, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes of the questions that I have for you and whatever. And then we can turn it into a coaching call where we talk about whatever problems you're having, struggles, challenges, strategies, things you want to look at, your numbers, anything like that. Because I want to make it at least somewhat valuable for you as to why you're doing this. Because I realize some of you already are using tracking apps or budget stuff. So in this case, like I understand you might be doing double efforts because you want to keep your old version, not your old version, what you're currently using active as well, and then trying this out as well. So I do appreciate that. I'm trying to make it as valuable as possible. So if that sounds interesting, yeah, feel free to send me a message on School. And if you're not in the community yet, I mean, what are you doing, right? If you're on this and you're not in the community yet, you got to join. You got to join them. It's getting fun in here. You can see the people in here are having fun. This is Carrie. Hey, Carrie. Just FYI, what if you unfortunately miss a payment? What is the best way to change this? Just zero out the payment. Yeah. So if you unfortunately miss a payment, you mean, yeah. So you could, like, are you asking like if you quote lock the month and then you realize you missed it or something like that? You can always go back and enter it. This isn't necessarily connected to anything specific. And people are already messaging me, guys. This is cool. So yeah. Carrie's interested. Okay. Yeah. So send me a message, go to your DMs in School and send me a message. I am probably going to sign off because I know I'm kind of done. I don't want to waste everyone's time here. So send me a message. For those of you that don't send me a message, I'll be reaching out tomorrow anyway, just to see if you're interested. Those of you that signed up for it. And guys, I'll see you in the community. You're the best. Let's keep grinding together. Okay. Have a good night, guys.